Yo guys, it's Slyroh. You already know that today we are back reading some more Danganronpa Zero. Today we are going to be starting on Chapter 8, and I don't know how many chapters we are going to read, because from what I can tell, there are 60 pages left in the entire novel, and there's like 9 chapters left or something crazy like that. So I'm expecting a bunch of smaller chapters, so this will probably be more than just Chapter 8, but that's where we're going to start, and I would expect that the rest of this novel would probably take up at most 3 videos. So, we are getting really close to the end, which gets me very, very excited. In the last chapter, Ryoko was, like, trapped in this, like, weird concrete place, and, like, this, like, hideout for a bunch of Monokuma people, and, I don't know, things were getting really crazy, so I don't know if we're gonna build more on that, or if the scene is gonna cut to something else. So, let's go ahead and start reading and find out. So, Chapter 8. The next moment, I woke up to the middle of a bright white room. It felt kind of like I'd been reborn. I was re-energized and I woken up as a whole new reborn Ryoko Tanashi. As I stretched, I slowly rose out of the bed. I looked at the window. The sun's refreshing light slipped through the gap of the curtains and fell on the already shining white room's interior. It suddenly felt like it belonged to the morning sun. Alright, so she's not in a gray doll room anymore. Now she's in a bright white room. How did she get there? Who knows? Apparently, I must have fallen asleep without realizing. With me being as forgetful as I am, it's normal to not remember when I fell asleep. I felt a light at the back of my eyes. An image appeared in my mind's eye. A basement, preparatory school, Monokuma. All of a sudden, I had a flashback. I was experiencing the unknown. Could this possibly be my memories? An itching feeling tickled at my brain. I can't remember something I seemed to be remembering. It was a feeling I only understood through intuition. On the other hand, it was baffling to me that I could even have such a feeling. What is this? What happened to me? I looked around quickly, with confusion and anxiety boiling up into a ball of fear. I saw my bag placed next to my bed. I quickly ran over it and searched through the contents and found it. Ryoko's Tanashi memory notebook. For now, it would be best to try to remember where this room is. Soon I was flipping through the notebook and remembered where this room was. This is the Neuroscience Institute. Oh, thank goodness. As I remember, I sighed in relief. But where's Matsuda-kun? I looked around the room once again, however there was no sign of the man. Matsuda-kun. I looked down at my notebook and remembered something important. Speaking of which, Matsuda-kun hasn't treated me for a while now. For whatever reason, this all seemed to have my brain become more muddled and odd. It would be better to have another session with him soon. Irritation caused my body to shake. Rumble. I heard a strange noise. It sounded like it had come from underneath the bed. Another itchy feeling ran through my mind. Someone's voices called out randomly in my head. Hey, why are you under the bed? I can control my frustration and actually concentrate. As soon as I remember the conversation between Matsuda-kun and myself, I quickly peeked under the bed. Matsuda-kun? A pair of eyes met mine. I saw a person hiding under the bed, but it was an unfamiliar female student. Eh, who are you? I asked without thinking. She replied coldly while lying on her back. Could you please move? I can't get out if you're there. Oh, okay. Puzzled, I stood up, out of her way, and the girl soon crawled out from under the bed. When the girl had stood up to her full height, she breathed out a small sigh. She brushed off the dust that covered her body with both hands. Her hands had caught my attention. She wore perfectly fitted, imposingly impressive black leather gloves. This Kyoko? Seeing them made me feel a little gloomy. The girl put her hands behind her back like she was trying to hide them. Evidently, the rumors seem to be true, don't they? Eh? The girl had spoken to me without leading up to the subject at all. Rumors? You're the amnesiac, aren't you? I heard you were being treated for it, weren't you? Once again, another itching sensation attacked my mind. I sat down on the bed without any thought. The girl stared at me suspiciously. Did you say we've met before? I asked, facing her as I dealt with the exceedingly unpleasant itching feeling. I am, Kyoko Kirigiri from the 78th batch. The name she replied with was completely unknown to me. I quickly opened Ryoko Tanashi's memory notebook and searched through it for her name. I couldn't find it written anywhere. So we haven't met before. The matter of your memory impairment was kept under tight wraps so you wouldn't be confused. That was the decision made, wasn't it? I wonder if it was also Matsuda Yasuke's decision. The girl fired question after question at me without warning. And I'd be lying to say I wasn't at least a little confused. What are you saying? That's right, you wouldn't remember. Did you say you know Matsuda-kun? The girl didn't answer. She continued to look away. Her reaction seemed to be suspicious. I pressed more. Hey, do you know him? If you do, tell me. Where is Matsuda-kun? I pleaded to her desperately. It was such an important thing to me. I wanted to know. I needed to know where Matsuda-kun was. Fortunately, I do not know. Eh? Matsuda-kun has gone away. I hung my head, unable to hide my intense disappointment. The girl vacantly stared outside the window as she muttered something under her breath. You were looking for Yasuke Matsuda, as am I. There are some things I would like to find out, no matter what. Some things you want to find out from Matsuda-kun? I echoed her words. The girl looked at me. Stared at me like she was trying to discern something. While I'm at it, there's something I must learn from you too. Eh? Earlier, when you looked under your bed, you called out Yasuke name, didn't you? Was that not because you know the man is often under the bed? Huh? What? Has suddenly begun to question me in my confusion. She seemed to be speaking with some restraint. It would be wise to answer honestly. Our conversation will only get more confusing if you lie. I don't really need to lie. Then you'll answer honestly? She seems to suggest it quickly. I felt like I had to answer. Yes, I see. Masakuna said he had a habit of falling asleep under the bed when he was frustrated in order to be able to concentrate. Why? His concentration. A cruel smile appeared on Kirigiri-san's face. I was about to yell angrily at her. Well, it certainly seems like a lie. Huh? Yasuke Matsuda crawling under the bed with a clear intent to do so. I used to do the same. Kirigiri looked to me and slowly started to walk towards me as I still sat on the bed. She finally stopped when she was right in front of me and looked down at me as she spoke. Did you move? Right. Confused, I got down from the bed. The girl grabbed the sheets on the now vacant bed and threw them up in the air with a swift movement. The sheets floated through the air lightly. You can see it, can't you? Kirigiri-san pointed under the bed. I stood next to the girl, crouched down and peeked under the bed. At the back, I could see a large opening, probably larger than 50 centimeters by 50 centimeters, with only darkness came from it. There seemed to be a large amount of space in there. It's not a terrible, impressive hidden room, a storage room at best. Storage room? For hiding dead bodies, huh? Kirigiri-san continued to speak in a calm and different tone. Next to her, I felt more and more puzzled. Under here, he hid dead bodies, but only two. The two missing members of the steering committee. What? What'd you say? My face flared bright red and I accidentally yelled at her. The girl never looked at me as she spoke with a subdued face. I'm joking. I was gonna say, that makes no sense and that would be the craziest. Joking? The average corpse rots at around 5 degrees Celsius. If there were corpses in here, they would have rotted long ago. Now, do you know how corpses rot? Proteins containing sulfur are broken down, producing hydrogen sulfide, which in turn makes a strong smell of the rotting gas. Even if you shower or wash your clothes over and over again, it doesn't fade. Not just the smell, the rotting gas builds up within the dead body, and thus its insides would change dramatically. The eyes both swell up until they pop out of their sockets like ping pong balls. The lips and tongue also swell and become hideous compared to its living counterpart. There's no hints of such a thing being in this place. A sour thing made up of what I just heard piled up. I gathered my senses. I see, so why did you joke? It wasn't entirely a joke. As if casting the final blow, she gave me a provoking look. Hidden inside this room is a pitch black jersey and a pair of shoes of the same color. It looks like he was planning to clean them, however, they've been stained with blood. He has a simple trolley he could carry it all on, too. To sum up, what are you saying? Sum up, I believe Yasuke Matsuda is involved in the murder of the steering committee members? My whole body suddenly bolted upright. I started to tremble. As I grinded my teeth together, I desperately attempted to piece together an argument. What did you say? Matsuda wouldn't kill anyone. I didn't say he killed anyone. I only said that he was involved in a murder. I saw the sun shine onto the irises of her eyes for briefly a moment. So that's what I believe is the case with the steering committee. However, I wonder if the case of the student council president is another matter. Perhaps he was also involved in that too. Huh? Yesterday evening, the corpse of the man called Super High School Level Student Council President Murasame Soshun was discovered. It was disguised to appear to be a suicide, but there's no denying it was a murder. I don't think it was. We saw that conversation. I don't think it was. Maybe I'm misremembering, but oh no, maybe it was. I already kind of forget the small details. It's all right. I still couldn't see what she was getting at, but I already knew I wasn't going to like it. My heart beated ridiculously fast. My breathing became more erratic and deep. My body was covered in sweat. The blood vessels in my forehead throbbed furiously. That bad feeling I had was just as bad as I thought it was. Most likely, Yasuke Matsuda murdered Soshun Murasame. Crack. I could hear the sound of the pillars that had supported me through everything up until now break. A wave of intense anxiety crashed onto me. There were so many thoughts about how to contradict her, they all tangled and knotted together into a ball of yarn. I was left speechless. Kirigiri-san patiently watched me. I'd grown thoroughly sick of her calm as ever composure. She hadn't shown any sign of emotion at all. She just observed. I don't know anything anymore. A strange expression. A ball of tangled thoughts. An overwhelming sense of anxiety and her calculating eyes. They all attacked me at once. I fell into a bottomless swamp of confusion. As I fell, I struggled and screamed out desperately, "It has nothing to do with me!" Enough already, I'll just forget it. If I forget everything anyway, then things will just go back to the way they were before. It's not escapism, it's a battle. With the exception of Matsuda-kun, I'd fight to keep everything out of my world. Nothing to do with me, nothing to do with me, nothing to do with me, nothing to do with me. See, my heart was beating at the same level as an explosive leap. My voice became screams. Nothing to do with me, nothing to do with me, nothing to do with me, nothing to do with me. As I yelled with all my might, hot air boiled up from the pit of my stomach. It became a ball of heat like magma and finally exploded from my mouth. It has nothing to do with me! It really did explode. As I screamed, the Neuroscience Institute's door behind Kirigiri-san burst open. Glass shards and wood chips flew through the air. It fell to the ground like paper craft being squashed with a delayed thunderous crash. It was like a rainstorm was on a was ripping its way through the lab. I think there's some translation stuff happening here. I don't believe my eyes. I did this, me. I looked at the scene that had unfolded behind Kiryu-san's turned head. This is my real power. I could fear the awakening of Ryoko Itanashi's fearsome ability? No way. That would be crazy. You get some sort of weird superpower like that, I'm just going to assume that's not what's happening, but who knows. Alright, we definitely have time to move on to Chapter 9, so let's go ahead and just keep reading and start with Chapter 9. Kyoko Kirigiri entered the neuroscience laboratory. That girl was still lying on the bed. She had heard a rumor about her. Her memory had been impaired and had since been receiving treatment within this lab. It seems the rumor was true, but it's still fine if that's the case. It was just crucial that Yasuke Matsuda was not there. Well, I hadn't expected such. Even so, she had still anticipated it. She moved on and begun to investigate the room. Matsuda not being there, to put it in another way, meant she could thoroughly examine everything without drawing any attention to herself. Therefore, Kyoko looked to the girl lying on the bed. I'd better be careful not to disturb her. It's very interesting that they're kind of telling it in this order, where first you have them conversing, and now it's kind of cutting to probably what happened while Ryoko was still knocked out. She went to avoid unneeded hindrances. From there onward, the girl inspected every aspect of the lab carefully. After briefly looking over everything, she stood at the side of the bed. It really is shady. She wasn't referring to the girl sleeping on the bed, but instead the bed itself. She was anxious to check something. Of course, Kyoko checked the area around the bed. The floor under the sheets was hidden, and that was where she found a hidden storage space. Inside the space was a black jersey and a pair of shoes, as well as a trolley that could be pushed easily. She reached a single answer. Yasuke Matsuda is also connected to the series of murders regarding the steering committee. For the time being, however, the only people aware of this connection to the incident was herself and her client, the school headmaster. In addition to this, the corpses have disappeared and the incident itself had little to no clues. Thus, the girl had to repeatedly look over the clues carefully. The evidence of the case had all been found in unexpected locations. She did not expect Yasuke Matsuda to be involved in the matter, but if that's the case, the fact that he's not in here may mean he has an idea of the whereabouts of the other two people. But this line of thinking was in vain, because as of now, Kyoko did not have any idea of the whereabouts of the 4 missing steering committee members. Still, it was possible to locate them even now. It would be a different story if she were too late, but whichever outcome was fine. It didn't matter whether she saved them or sacrificed them. Her only role was to expose the truth behind the mystery as a detective. Those were Kyoko's honest feelings on the matter. Perhaps those two matters are connected. Originally, the girl had come here for a different case than the steering committee murders. She had come to investigate a matter concerning the discovery of Soshi Murasame's corpse within the staff building. According to the school physician, just before his demise, it seemed Murasame had met with Yasuke Matsuda. However, afterwards, he went missing, and his location remains unknown. Kyoko was sure Murasame's death was in fact a murder, and no matter how much he thought about it, Yasuke Matsuda was suspicious. So, for what reason would he kill Soshi Murasame? To deduce his motivation behind this, Kyoko had come to the laboratory the man would usually shut himself away in. However, that Yasuke Matsuda seemed to not only be involved in Soshi Murasame's case, but also connected to the steering committee case. It was no longer an exaggeration to say the man was a key point in both cases. He became involved in 2 cases at the same time. There was no way it was just chance. So what was his goal? What does he know? What is he hiding? As Kyoko crawled under the bed, such thoughts piled up in her mind. A sound from above her caught her off guard. Apparently the girl had awoken. It could be a good idea to try to listen to her in case she says anything. Onlookers couldn't say for sure whether she was receiving treatment from Yasuke Matsuda. All the same, it might turn out the girl has some information. She needed to do it in order to reveal the hidden truth. That was yet again Kyoko's honest feelings on the matter. She didn't have much time left. Kyoko felt a little frustrated. All her efforts would have been for nothing if she did not hurry. His feelings began to grow. Yasuke Matsuda probably won't come back here anymore. That was just a hunch, but at the same time, it wasn't a hunch. It was a hunch belonging to the detectives from the Kirigiri family. This hunch just motivated the girl. In order to fulfill the request she received as detective, for the sake of her goal, she needs to grasp onto the location of Izuru Kamakura. Since she's a detective. Did Ryoko end up writing down the location in her notebook? Because I feel like she was told, right? I think. So that could come in handy. We'll see. Simply because she's a detective. So in order to complete the goal she had as a detective, she began her questioning. While I'm at it, there's something I must learn from you too. Starting with that sentence, she started to line up a list of questions in her head and use them to corner her opponent. Kyoko continued to watch the girl's reaction. The conclusion Kyoko reached was, this girl knows nothing. Her constant state of confusion didn't seem to be an act. She was able to see the extent of her forgetfulness. It seemed like, in this state, she would not be able to act as an accomplice. In other words, there's no point in listening to her anymore. But the girl looked more discouraged than before. Kyoko began to think of what next to do. However, before she could find the answer to that, it has nothing to do with me, she suddenly yelled out an ear-piercing scream. At the same time, a thunderous crash sounded out behind Kyoko. He looked back out of reflex. The lab door's glass shards flew through the air. In the midst of it all, a boy emerged. On that boy's face, like a death god to bring a bad omen to Kyoko, a wicked smile appeared. Okay, so chapters 8 and 9 are very much connected. One is from Ryoko's point of view, one is from Kyoko's point of view. That makes sense. But I really need an answer as to who caused this crash and what is going to happen next. So we are going to keep reading, and we're going to read chapter 10. So you get 3 chapters in this video. How exciting. Chapter 10. While watching my scream shatter the door of the laboratory, I was awakened to my surprising ability. The tale of the little girl being cornered, suddenly awakening to her power and seeking revenge. Felt like I saw something like that in a movie. But never mind that. More importantly, I have to do something to stop my power from going berserk. I understand. There's only one method to stop this rampage, and that's Matsuda-kun. Other than Matsuda-kun examining my messed up head, there is no other secret technique to stop this overflow of power. Anyway, I have to hurry. If I don't do something about this soon, something horrible will happen. That's why in order to meet Matsuda-kun, I'm going to have to use this uncontrollable power just one more time. Determined, I turned my gaze towards the wreckage and glared back at the back of Kirigiri. San said. I then focused all my nerves on her head and locked on, letting all of my power with a scream. Burst! What? She was literally trying to kill Kirigiri? Okay. Sure. Doing so, the girl's head, like a watermelon, didn't burst into pieces at all, huh? As I looked at Kirigiri-san's perfectly unchanged normal head, I tilted my head as I noticed someone's shadow standing in the back. Oh my gosh, Ryoko. She was so confident that she caused that and that she was literally going to go on a rampage. That is insane. Her first instinct to a new power is to kill the only other person inside the room. That is terrifying. Okay. So you really were over there. It was a low, threatening voice. The man with the jet black uniform noisily stepped onto the wreckage of the overturned door. While his jet black hair swayed back and forth, he had a slim frame that gave off an impression that it was much tougher than it looked, and he was quite tall as well. Too good for knocking? Kirigiri-san warily chose her words. Mind your own business. While snapping back with the sharp words, he shifted his gaze alternatingly between Kirigiri-san and I, with his thin reptile-like eyes. Oh no. The moment I looked at his eyes, that itchiness started to come up in the back of my head again. Right away, I dropped my gaze to Ryoko Tanachi's notebook, and I remembered, wait, but why? After all, he's gotten beat up so many times right in front of me. First when he got caught under a bookcase, second when he was assaulted by the black shadow known as Super High School Level Despair, third when he was confronted by Mukuro Ikasaba right in this neurology laboratory. Even with all of that, just why? Are you wondering why I'm unwounded? Answering my question, Madurai stretched out his arms to an unsettling length and smiled. The smile resembled a crescent moon, making it almost like a mask. I've said it before, haven't I? I'm immortal. As if complying with his words, the glass at his feet chimed. I just wanted to see Matsuda-kun, but all I get are these people speaking nonsense surrounding me. Trying to get anything out of that girl is futile. Who are you? Madurai faced Kirigiri-san with a cold stare that would have frozen a normal person. But Kirigiri-san looked right back at him and shook it off like it was nothing, and continued speaking indifferently. You were originally investigating the disappearance of the student council, correct? Madurai raised his eyebrow, surprised. You know who I am? I just overheard a few things. Kirigiri-san raised her chin and after a few moments continued to speak. But I know that you are not immortal, at least. After all, your ability isn't all-powerful. It definitely has its limits. Isn't that right, Host Peak Academy student council member, super high school level bodyguard-san? Okay. I feel like, no. Do we know that? I feel like maybe we did know that. That's something only the student council would know. Where the hell did you overhear something like that? Grind? There was a peculiar sound coming from the back of Madurai's mouth. If your ears are that good, then you should probably know something about this then. Come on, tell me, who's the guy behind Host Peak Academy's history's largest worst incident? Where's the bastard that killed the student council? Haven't you been listening? Asking is pointless. Of course, along with that girl over there, I don't know anything about that. No, that's a lie. What makes you think that? My intuition. Do I need a reason other than that? I hate characters that are like this. I don't remember like every detail of Madurai so far, but he again just seems to be one of these characters that was just like, you know the answer, and I'm right about everything, and I'm going to beat you up until you give me the answers that I want. And it's such a boring personality trait, and I feel like so many characters get it. I'm not a fan of like that sort of line of thinking, especially when like so many characters seem to have it. It's so like simple-minded. It's just like, please have a little bit more depth than that. I don't know. After saying that, Madurai's intimidating presence grew stronger. The glass under his feet continued to shatter from his force as he stepped forward, and naturally, I began to step back. Hey. While being cautious of Madurai, Kirigiri-san faced me and spoke. Judging from the way you've been talking, you've driven him off multiple times, haven't you? You shouldn't expect too much from me. I weakly turned my head towards her. I don't really remember, but every incident was just a coincidence, and it looks like he's immortal too. While speaking, I carefully glanced towards Madurai, and in return he glared at me with his sharp eyes. Panicking, I quickly averted my gaze while... It's impossible. At least we can take advantage of our numbers, like one of us becoming the decoy and the other running away. That's the only way. I attempted to casually suggest her to become a decoy. I wasn't sure if she successfully took in my meaning. So what are you gonna do? Behave and fess up, or should I beat you till you talk? Do you think you could hurry up and make your mind? Madurai flipped his greasy long hair while asking. Like I said, I really don't know anything. We don't know anything. In contrast to my stuttering words, Kirigiri-san confidently shot back. It had almost nothing to do with the situation, but her resolve didn't once seem to waver. Honestly, it was almost like she was being stubborn for the sake of being stubborn. Well, she must have her reasons. But I would like it if I didn't have to get dragged into this. Seems like he won't budge. As his voice grew more threatening as he mumbled, he grew a silent smile. Looks like I have no choice then. I'll use my true power. I'll tell you right now, this is unlike anything you've seen so far. It's a pain, but I'll deal with you in one go. He then started to sway his slender body left and right. Right at the next moment, a mysterious sensation invaded my body. As if I was dizzy, my vision became too blur. Madurai's appearance in front of me seemed to split into two. But the only thing splitting into two was Madurai, the rest of the world remaining like always. What? No matter how many times I blinked, the scene in front of me didn't change. My eyes weren't fooling me, there really were two Madurais in front of me? I'll introduce myself once more. In harmony, they both spoke at the same time. My name is Yoshiki Madurai. My name is Goshiki Madurai. Oh, okay. Alright. So we got a little translator's note. Kind of a play on words with Ishiki Madurai's name. Use the character for the number 1, while Yoshiki and Goshi use the characters for 4 and 5. Yoshiki's name might be Yoshiki due to certain Japanese language tendencies, but I'm not sure. Okay. Oh, it might be Yanshiki. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. The slim, long bodies of the left Madurai and the right Madurai seemed to entangle around each other. The scene was creepy enough to send shivers up my spine. You really look just like one. What I heard was true, it seems. Kirigiri-san's cautious words sounded out once again. Like I said, just where the hell did you hear about those things? Where did you hear about those things? Madurai's creepy voices began once again, came out in harmony. The Madurai brothers, the octuplets, from Ishiki Madurai to Yashiki Madurai. Oh, okay, the Ya in this case being the character for 8. Okay, so their names are like kind of a play between the numbers 1 and 8 because there's 8 of them. Gotcha. Those who know about them refer to them as super high school level multiple birth siblings. Oh, come on. You don't need to be like a super high school level, like, that's not a superpower. You just happen to be born like that. Due to efficiently utilizing their mutual understanding, their teamwork has led them to be known as super high school level bodyguard, Madurai's brother's greatest talent. At least that's what I heard. Octuplets, including Ishiki Madurai to Yashiki Madurai. Super high school level multiple birth siblings. That is the stupidest, like sentence in all of Danganronpa. I think this right here is the stupidest line I think I've seen in the entire franchise. Super high school level multiple birth siblings. Get out of here with that. That is Madurai. That is the Madurai brothers' greatest talent. That's cheating, isn't it? I definitely shout out. It's not being immortal at all. It doesn't even make any sense. Then the two Madurai's mouths creaked open. Well, it's just how it is. But that's just how it is. There's 3. Was there 1 extra? At that moment, I heard footsteps from behind me. Both Kirigiri-san and I turned around at the same time. As if blocking the doorway to the back of the laboratory stood another Madurai. I'm Rokushiki Madurai, and that's for number 6. Okay. That was the arrival of the 3rd one. With this, you guys have lost my numbers as well. And in order, that's why you shouldn't let your guard down. Following right up on the bet, we're going to beat reality into you till you fess up, as all 3 voices rang out. Right to left and then from behind. They circled around me, forming a semicircle, perplexing me. What should we do? Faced Kirigiri-san with my clingy voice. This isn't the time to be thinking about that. The 2 Madurais in front of us kicked at the wreckage towards us, turning the wreckage into lethal projectile. Tusk. Kirigiri-san rammed into me, using that force to push me to the opposite side. The flying bits of the door's wreckage barely missed us at a hair's breadth. There. Due to being pushed, I fell on my butt, but because it was no time to falter, I quickly stood up. But right at that moment, the neck cuff of my shirt was pulled from behind. Yeah. Without time to even think about it, hurting or to be let go, I was thrown. Like a rampaging child throwing his doll in a tantrum. My body flew up flew through the air with my head and body hitting a wall, finally coming to a stop. Kuh! My eyes blacked out from the shockwave. All I knew was that I was in the hallway. It was difficult to comprehend how easily I was thrown from the lavatory, but in any case, I just had to deal with my body aching all over, with my butt, my neck, and my back all being beat up more than necessary. I tried to pull through my numbness, along with dealing with the pain coming from seemingly losing all feeling from those body parts. Then, out of nowhere, Madurai stood in front of me. Not too far from the ceiling, his eyes looked down on me from a sharp angle, which more than resembled a reptile now. In other words, it was terrifying. You've gotten away time after time again. Even though I heard his words, strangely his mouth didn't move, but with two people, this should be more than enough. Then from behind the Madurai standing in front of me, stepped out a different Madurai. Looks like it was a Madurai who was talking. The two Madurai standing in my blurred vision. This was truly a scene of despair. Not only that, with me thrown into the hallway, I couldn't rely on Kirigiri-san any longer. I'll ask you one more time, they once again spoke in harmony. In what way are you related to this case? Following up, who should I be taking out my revenge on in rapid succession? Where is that bastard? As if winding together. Or maybe it's really you. Then hurry up and talk, pursued me. But right at that moment, I suddenly felt a breeze over my head. Looking up, I saw the window was open. The moment I saw that, an inspiration flew into my mind. Looks like you won't talk unless I force it out of you. At the same time, Madurai's hand reached out towards me. There was no time to hesitate. I dodged through the arms as I stood up, and at that rate, I jumped with all my might under the edge of the window. With that motion, I aimed towards the rear garden, and that's when I realized. This was the third floor. Uh-oh. What? The expression of the Madurais left behind both changed to surprise simultaneously. Throwing myself out of the hallway's third floor window was definitely outside of their expectations, and that goes the same for myself. Actually, the surprise on my face was most likely even greater than theirs. Then, while still surprised, my body got caught by gravity. My body caught by gravity continued to fall straight down towards the garden. What followed that fall was a shockwave. It wasn't a fatal shockwave, however. It didn't even take my consciousness. Miraculously, my body fell straight into some shrubbery, exceptionally cushioning my fall. That was just 100% coincidence. I didn't know about it, I didn't aim for it, and I didn't expect it either. That is crazy. Are you sure she doesn't have some sort of super high school level luck? But for some reason, even though I couldn't understand it, I took that coincidence like it was a matter of course. Still, the shockwave was strong enough to numb most of my body, and my arms, legs, and face were all being stabbed by the prickly bits of the shrubbery. Even so, I calmly ordered my head to escape, and my arms and feet slowly regained their functions. I then proceeded to crawl out on all fours. While crawling, I ran into two pairs of black shoes. Continuing on all fours, I raised my head up to see two Madurais looking out at me. I'm Shiki Madurai, and I'm Yashiki Madurai. There were different Madurais from the ones on the third floor. Looks like they were called out. Well, we certainly didn't expect you to come falling down. Without thinking, a gulping sound came from my throat. But despite this nightmare-like situation, I didn't feel confused, scared, or uneasy. Instead, what I felt was that intense itchiness in my brain. And along with that itchiness came a premonition. I won't die. I won't die here. How that premonition floated up was unknown even to myself. But it was definite that that was a premonition. I was almost completely sure about that. But what's with that easygoing face? It's pissing me off. The two Madurais looked like they were wrapping around each other as they advanced and examined my face. In those eyes were a thick concentration of murderous intent. Why don't you understand the situation you're in for once? Why don't you understand when they're telling you that they don't know anything? Oh my gosh. All these Madurais are so stupid. The Madurais then formed a fist together and then followed up raising them together, but my gaze was looking past them, focused on the girl behind their shoulders. It seems that my premonition earlier conveniently matched the situation at the moment. Didn't pry into outsiders' affairs so much. The Madurais turned around at the same time, and the girl who was supposed to be as far away to the point where she was the size of a thumb suddenly appeared behind their backs. The itchiness in my brain. At that point, I remembered that girl's name was Mukuru Ikisawa. Wow, she's coming to save the day again. I won't say anything, but you should probably lay off that girl. Then with both hands, she firmly gripped the Madurai's arms. Ugh. As her expressions changed to anguish, their knees hit the floor. Give up, your hands won't last in this level of situation. Her grip on their hands were so strong that a sound could be heard. Just where could that slim girl be hiding all that power? But the ones that understood her strength firsthand were the suffering Madurais themselves. Don't screw with me. The kneeling Madurais screamed almost at the same time. Behind Ikusawa-san, who was behind the Madurais, came two different Madurais jumping out. Several right and left legs shot out in symmetry in a flying kick towards Ikusawa-san. But without any signs of being phased at all, she released the arms of the Madurais in front of her and dodged the flying kicks coming at her in one fluid motion. The two brothers who launched those flying kicks nimbly changed positions before landing. The four Madurais had Ikusawa-san completely surrounded. What do we do about that girl over there? Leave that to Rokushiki. Can you handle that by yourself? Not like she's accustomed to combat. Oh yeah, definitely not the ultimate soldier. Doesn't know anything about combat. First let's take care of this one. Yeah, that would be simpler. While they discussed their strategy with their ridiculously similar voices, their firm watch over Ikusawa-san did not waver once. I mean, unless they were talking about Ryoko or something, I don't know. Or Kyoko, she might still be around, or I guess she would still be upstairs. But yeah, Ikusawa-san showed no signs of being cornered. Instead, she was rapidly glancing at all their faces while seemingly murmuring her confirmations. I defeat these four, and I just leave one for Kirigiri-san. Got it, all according to plan. All according to plan. Hearing those words, Madarai strongly reacted. In harmony, all four, their voices shouted out, "What the hell are you talking about?" But of course, Ikusawa-san responded with a cool face. "Not much, nothing you guys would need to know. You guys don't even seem to be holding any important information in the first place. That's why I'm telling you now. You should probably give up." "Shut up." The four intimidating voices attacked Ikusawa-san all at once. "Think we can go now?" "We swore to them. We'll keep on going for the student council. We'll prove that to you. We swear to protect the student council's honor. We'll protect it to the death. We'll definitely take our revenge out on you. We won't let anyone get in the way." From the right to the left, from the front to the back, their frustrated, interchanging words dispersed throughout the air. Even so, Ikusawa-san carefreely scratched her head, sighing. I feel like I can relate to what you guys are going through, but wait, that's a lie. I actually can't relate to them at all, but I can understand them. But that girl is different. To her, she has no gain from understanding what you have to say. Stuff like your thoughts or your hope, they mean nothing to her. It means nothing to the one who set up this entire scenario. So trying to end all this by pushing on her would be futile. Grind, 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 grind. None of their mutual grinding filled the garden. It looks like you don't know anything at all. You know about Hope Speed Academy's history's worst incident, it seems. That's convenient. We'll listen to you, to what you have to say, but after we beat you up. The four Madarais bent down and formed a stance. "Ah, geez, even after I warned you," Ikusawa-san seemed to grumble, "even though I didn't want any more victims to get involved." "Victim?" Once again, the Madarais all shouted together, encircling her like a dog threatens to shepherd a herd, bare their teeth and roared. Do you know about our brothers? Where did our brothers disappear to? What happened to Ishiki, Nishiki, and Mishiki? They're disappeared. Oh no. Then Ikusawa-san turned back with her freezing glare and she responded, "Don't come near me." Those words triggered it. A sound like something rupturing was heard as the four brothers kicked off the ground with all their might as they headed towards Ikusawa-san from four directions all at once. Like I said, it's pointless. Just as Ikusawa-san was about to get hit by the blunt of those attacks, she dodged them completely with just one movement. No matter how many of you come to me at once, your base value never changes. That kind of pack mentality attack won't get through me. While murmuring in that calm voice, she moved at a speed incomprehensible to the naked eye. The Madarai's attacked with such coordination to the point where their breaths were at the same pace, while Ikusawa-san easily dodged them with the brilliant deduction. It was almost like she was from a different dimension. "I won't let anyone oppose that girl." Even while dancing, she murmured. Her breath didn't falter once. "That's because this is for despair." Madarais continued to repeat their emaciated attacks, while Ikusawa-san, on the other hand, continued to move faster, rolling like a torrent. Eventually, that torrent mercilessly swallowed them up. There was pretty much a one-sided development. It developed one-sidedly, and it ended one-sidedly. When Ikusawa-san finally stopped, the four Madarais were laid around her feet. That wasn't some halfway transition. What I witnessed was truly only that event. It's over. Letting out a small sigh, Ikusawa-san murmured while already looking away from the Madarais. Those eyes then faced towards me. Oh my gosh, look at that. Taking care of all of them. Yes. They deserve that. Even if Mukuro is, like, you know, kind of acting on the side of despair. Or I mean, not acting. She, like, is on the side of despair. But, you know what? She was pretty cool, and they're not cool. So it works. Astonished, I forget what I was doing. I was taken aback. "Why are you so strong?" It's all I'm good at, after all." The girl who replied didn't have one thing you'd call an expression laid out on her face. It was like she was wearing an emotionless mask with only specks of blood splattered here and there. "Why did you save me?" "Well, just because." "Just because?" Ikusawa-san nodded and dropped her gaze down to her feet. After a few moments of silence, she gently opened her mouth again. "For example, it's like a video game RPG." "Video game? It's like that?" Like a straightforward RPG or something. The people who live in that world, it looks like they have their own will, but it just looks like that. In the end, they're just scripted to act in a way convenient for the game. It's the same with the protagonist. It's just that the protagonist doesn't even realize what he is. What are you trying to say? Well, my fight with the Madarais wasn't a coincidence. Actually, it's the same with the Madarais coming to the neurology laboratory, and the same with removing the unnecessary Kirigiri-san from the scenario. Everything was determined right from the beginning. What do you mean by determined? Same goes for me. I'm just moving along as scripted with her scenario, moving accordingly to her will, only prevent the scenario from taking the wrong path. Her? I'm talking about Junko Enoshima, of course. At that moment, it felt like my blood froze. As expected, everything returns to Junko Enoshima. Everything from getting me or Matsuda-kun involved, it's all because of that horrible girl. Wait, what? At that point, I suddenly realized it. Then you're working with Junko Enoshima? As I glared at her blamingly, Ikusawa-san hesitantly responded, as if embarrassed. Well, working with her, it's more like she's my sister. Huh? It was too sudden of a confession. Mikuru Ikusawa and Junko Enoshima are sisters? Wait, that's even worse than just working together, isn't it? But even though we're sisters and we're connected by blood, All that doesn't mean anything to her. After all that girl looks for is despair. Other people's despair, her own despair. That's all that exists for her. All of a sudden, it looked like Ikusabe-san's eyes were gazing far away. That's why whoever it may be, whatever situation it may be, whatever world it may be, it just all means nothing to her unless she's dealing with despair. That's the world of the girl known as super high school level despair, Junko Enoshima. What? But that's ridiculous. Yes, it's ridiculous. That's what Junko Enoshima is. Hearing her response, I felt a new sensation of dread. This time it was creeping up from my feet bit by bit. Yeah, she really is ridiculous, to the point of despair. She's the lowest, worst sister ever, but that's why I can't leave her alone. That's why I have to help her. After all, I'm the only one who can understand her. Then, looking at the face Ikusabe-san showed me, I was suddenly taken aback. The ever so emotionless face was ecstatic and smiling. I don't know if she is attracting despair or despair is attracting her, but she has lived her whole life with despair by her side. She lived while immersed in despair. That's why she began looking for despair in others. She learned to enjoy pushing people into despair. But that's normal. It's the same as someone being cursed by misfortune, falling into hatred for those who aren't. But what's special about her was that she learned to enjoy inflicting despair onto herself. That's how the link to despair began. As she chased down despair, she pushed it onto others on the way. Doing so, it caused her to desire falling into despair even more. And because of that change to despair, the super high school level despair was born. While she spoke, it was like she fell into a fever. The expressions on her face turned into ecstasy. It was so completely absurd that it would have been hard for anybody to think of it as anything but a joke, but I understood that this was real. It might have been because the memories of Junko Enoshima inside me led to that conclusion. Hey, you don't get it, right? I don't think anybody could, but only I can understand it. Consumed by ecstasy, even Ikusabe-san's breasts began to become ragged. Only I am able of understanding her. That's why she needs me. She still hasn't realized that, but maybe she's only pretending not to realize. That's because she's so shy. Seeing this intoxicated Ikusabe-san to continue to talk like that repelled me. I knew that she definitely didn't have normal feelings for Junko Enoshima, but that sort of thing shouldn't have anything to do with me. That's right, it has nothing to do with me. Without thinking, I started speaking. It's not like I know anything about you, Junko Enoshima. That sort of thing doesn't have anything to do with me. Realizing what I was saying, I quickly apologized. I'm sorry. At that moment, Ikusabe-san's face turned pale. I'm sorry. Getting more and more into it, I began to bow my head as well. You don't need to apologize that much. I'm sorry. Even so, I continued to apologize to the point where she almost felt bad, and then I realized how tired I was. Putting everything aside, I was tired. Tired from the confrontation of the Matter Eyes, the conversation with Ikusabe-san about Junko Enoshima, and above all, I just wanted to see Matsuda-kun. That's right, I want to see Matsuda-kun. Hey, it's okay if I leave now, right? With the eagerness strong enough to blow away my tiredness, I felt like I had to get out of this place without waiting for her to answer. Anyway, thanks for helping me. I'll be leaving now. Leaving those words, just as I started running off. Oh wait, I still haven't told you the whereabouts of Yasuke Matsuda. Immediately breaking to a stop, I turned around and faced Ikusabe-san. If you don't know where he is, you probably won't be able to see him. How do you know where Matsuda-kun is? I immediately ran up closer to her. More importantly, if you know, then please tell me. But as I approached her, I was suddenly taken aback. Ikusabe-san's face was radically different from earlier, a grim, stern expression. It felt like she was a sniper in a battlefield aiming at her target. I don't like it when things go towards this direction after getting along so well, but this is part of the scenario, so I have no choice. While murmuring with sadness as if she was about to cry, she shot her freezing glare toward me. In order for me to tell you Yasuke Matsuda's whereabouts, an exchange is required. Exchange? Ikusabe-san then pointed towards the Matter Eyes laying on the floor and spoke with a low voice. Those people laying over there still don't know about the last remaining member of the student council, the student council president, being murdered. I'm sure if they found out, they would fall into despair. Despair strong enough to push them to even die for the sake of revenge. What are you saying? My voice filled with tension. Even I understood what she was talking about. If you leave them be, I'm sure they would go and kill Yasuke Matsuda. Kill. As soon as those words began to spin around my head. Why does Matsuda-kun need to die? The student council president's murder has nothing to do with him. That's not true. It does have something to do with him. Ikusabe-san shook her head. Because Yasuke Matsuda murdered the student council president. Murdered. That's why we'll exchange. While saying that, she took something out of her pocket and threw it towards my feet. Work your hardest for his sake. If you really love Yasuke Matsuda, then you work your hardest for him. I dropped my eyes towards my feet. Sitting on the moist ground was a knife with Hope's Peak Academy's emblem engraved onto it. The moment I laid eyes on it, my heart began beating with an amount of blood strong enough to break a vessel. To seize hope for both him and yourself, you must work at your hardest. I can't be expected to kill. You can't be serious, right? No, I'm serious. Without time for thinking, she immediately responded. You will overcome Hope's Peak Academy here. With the sacrifices of the Matter Eyes, you will obtain true hope. That is the scenario Junko Enoshima has assigned to you. What is this? The scenario Junko Enoshima assigned? Why? Why am I forced to do this? The severe confusion gave me a fever. I was attacked with immense dizziness and ringing in my ears. Why? And then I realized I was gazing up at the sky. Thick gray clouds began covering the sky, making it only like this moist, gloomy garden was in the middle of the night, enveloped in silence. While I stared at the sky absentmindedly, I could feel the black, helpless emotions inside of me bubbling up. Like the toxic sludge from underground sewers, it dried up like dead grass. I stopped and thought with my hazy head, this is despair. To overcome this despair and seize hope? Whose voice was that? Was it mine? Iko-sama-san's? Or was it... But it already had nothing to do with me. Suddenly I reached out my hand toward the silver knife, and then to slice away the dark fog of despair, I wielded the knife in a trance. Doing so, I felt the texture of flesh. Beyond the knife standing was the Matarai's bodies. I could feel this blade stabbing all the way through the skin and muscle. Wow, she actually's going through with it. The fresh blood squirting out, the cries of death, goosebumps spread across my skin, and I instantly felt the pain of my stomach and sides knotting together. Despite that, I stabbed. Overcome despair for the sake of seizing hope for Matsuru-kun and I stabbed and 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 stabbed. I could hear my screams coming from far away. They were screams from my broken heart. Ah! I then returned to myself. From there, as if to shake off the delusions floating up into my head, I soon screamed once again. I can't do it. I think he already did. While my hand was ridged from reaching out towards the knife, my head ached from fear of the simulation that just flew by my mind. I won't do it. I have no reason to do this. Oh, she was just thinking about doing it and then didn't do it? Oh yeah, okay. Then I heard the puzzled voice of Iko-sama-san coming from above. You know that if you don't overcome despair here, you won't be able to seize hope, right? I can't do that, I screamed while sobbing. Hope and despair, that's just what you or Junko Inoshima have been talking about, right? It has nothing to do with me. My throat began to burn up from screaming so much, and my tears and snot mixed together as I crouched towards the ground. Help me, Matsuru-kun. As if pleading, I continued to cry. Grasping my head, I continued to shamelessly cry. Help me, Matsuru-kun, 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 Matsuru-kun. Then even further puzzled voice could be heard from Iko-sama-san. I don't really know what to do in these kind of situations, but anyway, I'll tell you where Yasuke Matsuda is. Huh? In surprise, I lifted my head up. Huh? Iko-sama-san was in surprise as well, probably because my face was so white slightly from crying. You'll tell me? Well, if things end at this rate, Junko-chan would just get mad at me. Hearing that, I scrubbed my face with the sleeves of my uniform, and once again firmly stood on my 2 feet. I then slapped my cheeks to focus and faced Iko-sama-san with a question. Then tell me, where's Matsuda-kun? Iko-sama-san responded with a light voice. Yasuke Matsuda is at the X-school building. Once again, the intense itchiness attacked my head. X-school building? It felt like I heard those words not too long ago somewhere, but it was no time to be dealing with that itchiness right now. Got it, so if I go to the X-school building, I'll meet Matsuda-kun, right? Yes, that place is supposed to be the planned climax. I'm able to meet Matsuda-kun. With that thought in mind, a mysterious power seemed to come up from deep within me. My screaming and shouting and falling into despair from before seemed to all be a lie. I felt myself brimming with energy. This is hope. Thanks, I'll be taking off then. I then bowed my head towards Iko-sama-san. I had no reason to bow my head towards the sister of the horrible Junko Inoshima who was assisting her in that messed up plan, but this might be the power of hope as well. Alright, good luck then. I'll take care of cleaning up what's left here. Iko-sama-san spoke while looking around at the Matarai's lying at her feet. After I clean this up, I'll go and help Kirigiri-san. Then I'll remove Kirigiri-san from the scenario. Then everything will go along just like the scenario, so leave the rest to me. Outside of hearing her repeatedly talk about the scenario towards the end, that's why with a short bye, I immediately ran off. But as soon as I dashed off, I suddenly noticed something. While running, I turned around and saw Iko-sama-san absent-mindedly standing still. Lying around her were those 4 Matarai's, but I felt like there was something missing there, but I couldn't remember what. But it wasn't time to think about that. And I continued to run straight ahead. That's right. I don't have the time to be turning around. I was heading towards Hope Academy's North District's X-school building. Even without looking at Ryoko Utanashi's notebook, the path towards my destination somehow floated up into my head. It looked like I was pretty troubled. Troubled to the point where I couldn't handle it. But if it's to meet Matsuda-kun, then it'll all be okay. I'll be able to get rid of this uneasiness. That's because if I meet Matsuda-kun, everything will turn back to normal. My head will become normal again, and then I'll be able to return to those peaceful days with Matsuda-kun. Whatever there may be, whatever may happen, I'll return to those peaceful days of receiving treatment from Matsuda-kun. That is my ideal ending. My ideal happy ending. What I was heading for wasn't the X-school building. It was towards that happy ending. Heading towards the happy ending, I ran as fast as I could. Okay. And that is the end of chapter 10. That was a little bit of a lengthy chapter, but I thought it was really, really good. We had a very interesting confrontation with Ryoko and Mukuro. And I guess she didn't go through with killing the Matarai's. It definitely seemed like she was, but I guess that is not something that happened. I don't know if they'll be left alive or not. I could see them being left alive. That way they can learn about the student council president's death, so then they'll fall into despair, and I feel like that's a more likely path for Junko. But who knows? I don't exactly know. And it seems like we're getting close to maybe Ryoko seeing what Matsuda is up to, and I don't really know what that reunion is going to look like. I don't really know what else is happening, but yeah, we got a few chapters left. And yeah, I'm excited to read the rest of this. So hopefully y'all have enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on these 3 chapters, and I will see you on the next time. So till then, peace out.